One person, 1 year, and by the end of it, the entire JavaScript toolchain had been rebuilt from zero. Not a feature, not a plugin, the runtime, the bundler, the package manager, the test runner. The whole stack that normally takes a company and a team of engineers years to ship, written by a single developer, by hand, before AI coding assistants existed. His name is Jarred Sumner, and the strangest part isn't what he built, it's what he built it with. A language almost nobody around him was using. This is that year. It didn't start as a mission to replace Node, it started as annoyance. Sumner was building a multiplayer voxel game. Think blocks, browser, Next.js, and React, holding it all together. And every time he changed a single line of code, he had to sit and wait for the dev server to reload. 30 seconds, sometimes closer to 45. That doesn't sound like much until you multiply it by every save every day for months. That's the tax you pay for a slow toolchain. And most developers just pay it, quietly, forever. But here's where his story forks from everyone else's. Most of us, when the tools are slow, we tweak a config. We add a cache, we swap one plugin for another, and hope. We optimize inside the box. Sumner did the math and reached a colder conclusion. The box itself was the problem. The slowness wasn't a bug in one tool. It was baked into the whole stack. Layers of JavaScript, tooling built on top of more JavaScript tooling, each one adding a little more overhead. You can't optimize your way out of that from the inside. So he asked the question almost nobody asks out loud. What if you didn't optimize it? What if you rebuilt it, one level down, in a language fast enough that the tax just disappears? To go one level down, he needed a low-level language. The obvious choices were the usual suspects: C, C++, Rust. The languages you reach for when you want raw speed. He didn't pick any of them. Instead, he found something almost nobody around him was using. It came to him through a link on Hacker News, a reference page for a language called Zig. And the detail people forget. At that moment, the language's entire reference was small enough to fit effectively on a single page. Think about that. Not 1,000 pages of specification, not a 15-part tutorial series, one page. You could read the whole thing in an afternoon and hold the entire language in your head. And what convinced him wasn't hype. Zig wasn't trendy. There was no conference circuit, no army of influencers. What convinced him was control without the pain. In his own words, Zig is a lot like writing C, but with better memory safety and debug mode, and modern conveniences. Few keywords, easy to learn. He explicitly said it was easier to pick up than C++ or Rust, and it let him run arbitrary code at compile time instead of what he called, in a phrase worth keeping, C++ template voodoo. That's the whole bet in one sentence. He didn't choose the popular tool. He chose the one small enough to fully understand and powerful enough to go all the way down. That combination, total comprehension plus total control, is the thread that runs through everything that happened next. Now here's the part almost nobody tells you correctly. Bun did not begin as, let's build a JavaScript runtime. Nobody wakes up and decides to out-engineer Node in a weekend. It began as something much smaller and much more humble, a port. Sumner took the approach behind esbuild, the famously fast bundler written in Go, and started rebuilding that transpiler in Zig. That was the seed. Just, could he make the thing that turns modern JavaScript into browser-ready JavaScript, but faster? And within about 3 weeks of starting, 3 weeks by Sumner's own account, the numbers were already absurd. By his own measurements, 3 times faster than esbuild, 94 times faster than SWC, nearly 200 times faster than Babel, from a transpiler that weeks earlier didn't exist. And this is the mechanism that makes the whole story make sense. Bun grew like a coral reef. Each layer got added because the layer under it already worked. The transpiler was fast, so it made sense to wrap it in a runtime. The runtime needed to load packages, so it grew a package manager. Projects need to run tests, so it grew a test runner. Nobody drew this as a master plan on a whiteboard. Each piece earned the right to exist by standing on a piece that already worked. By the time it had a name and a version, Bun 0.1, in the summer of 2022, it wasn't a bundler anymore. It was the whole toolchain in one binary. 20,000 GitHub stars in the first week. And the pitch was almost insulting in its simplicity. The same commands you already know, bun install, bun run, just without the wait. Now step back and look at the timestamp on all of this. This transpiler, this runtime, this package manager, this test runner, all of it was written starting in 2021. And that date matters more than it looks. Because in 2021, there was no coding assistant to lean on. No autocomplete that writes the function for you. No agent you hand a ticket to overnight. Every line of Zig in that project came out of one human head, typed by one pair of hands. The initial version of Bun was written by me in 1 year in a cramped Oakland apartment, pre-LLM in Zig. Work like this is exactly what this channel exists to take apart, line by line, and if you want to support that, MacroLens has a Patreon. And that's the detail that gives this whole story its weight. For that 1 year, when one person wrote every layer by hand, something rare happened. There was no part of it that nobody understood. No inherited black box? No, we're not sure why that works, don't touch it. The runtime, the bundler, the installer, the test runner, all of it fit inside a single mind at the same time. That's not the whole story of Bun. Plenty changed after, but it's the year that made everything after it possible. For that one stretch, before any of that changed, this was software with nothing hidden in it. It's tempting to end here and call it a story about one exceptional developer. But that's the comfortable version, the version that lets the rest of us off the hook. He's a genius, the rest of us aren't. Moving on. The uncomfortable version is the honest one. The reason one person could do this wasn't just talent, it was the choice of tool. He picked a language small enough to hold completely in his head, and that's the only reason nothing hidden was ever on the table. Change that one decision, and the whole year falls apart. Which raises the question this video can't answer. Because a language that fits on a single page doesn't happen by accident. Someone had to decide, deliberately, to leave almost everything out. No hidden control flow, no feature you didn't ask for. A language whose entire philosophy is saying no. Back in 2016, one programmer started building exactly that, an entire language founded on the principle of refusing almost every feature that other languages take for granted. The tool Sumner reached for on that single page, someone made it that small on purpose. That person is Andrew Kelly, and the next video is his full profile. Why he said no, what it cost him, and why it turned out to be the reason a story like Bun's was even possible. If Bun is what one developer did in a year, Andrew Kelly is the person who made that year possible. Watch that one next.